Chapter 1878. Young Master Ming turned her head and stared at Dustless. Her beautiful eyes glowed. She couldn't help but admire Dustless's fearless spirit. He knew what Xing Hun hated the most, but he still dared to attack him. He must be tired of living to force Xing Hun to attack. Young Master Ming, get out of my way. Xing Hun roared furiously. Due to his extreme anger, his eyes were bloodshot. This is impossible. Zichen is, swoosh swoosh swoosh. Before young Master Ming could finish her sentence, the purple air blade swept towards her from the side. Even young Master Ming was within the attack range. This brat, he's so young, but his heart is so vicious. Is he planning to kill young Master Si Ming as well? Wu Qin could not help but admire Xing Hun's viciousness when he sensed the chi blade that was a few meters long sweeping towards him from the left. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. His right hand shook slightly, and a large amount of light flashed. High-density photons were compressed, and a divine sword that could cut through metal like mud appeared. Heavenly sword of gathering clouds. Aiming at the fatal air blade, Dustless smirked and dashed in front of young Master Ming. Don't embarrass yourself with such a small trick. This kind of weak air blade can only be used to slaughter pigs. Dustless sneered. He raised the heavenly sword of gathering clouds in his hand and mocked, I know a good chef. He specializes in providing food for our Confucian school. If I recommend you to slaughter pigs for him, you will definitely be a VIP. Pig slaughtering king, Xing Hun. Pfft. Hearing this, young Master Ming couldn't help but laugh. She rolled her eyes at Dustless. Disappear. Dustless raised the heavenly sword of gathering clouds up high. He aimed at the incoming air blade and slashed it down without hesitation. Crack crack. The seemingly ferocious chi blade collapsed in an instant. The powerful force directly crushed it into pieces like a mirror. You, this, bastard, Xing Hun was furious. His arm was numb from the impact, and his pale face was filled with malevolence. He clenched his fists so tightly that his 5 fingers were seeping into his palms, causing blood to drip out. Dustless actually wanted him to slaughter a pig. This was simply unforgivable. He even said something about the pig-slaughtering king astral soul. How preposterous, this was a chi blade used to kill people, not to slaughter pigs. You will pay for your arrogance. Xing Hun stared eerily at Dustless. There was a hint of morbid madness in his words. His eyes were so frightening that they looked as if they were about to pop out. If you could make me pay a heavy price, then you wouldn't need to use your mouth. Speak with your strength. Dustless hooked his finger and taunted. Ha! With a low growl, a thick purple chi blade appeared between Xing Hun's hands once again. This time, it was even more ferocious than before. It seemed that there was no one else other than himself. Of course it's for you, Lord Xing Hun. If I had not appeared here, you would have been cut into pieces by Dustless. Chapter 1879. Hearing this, Xing Hun's expression changed drastically. The anger that he had been suppressing once again swept out like a storm. Caw caw caw. Large amounts of true chi leaked out in all directions. Even the rooms on both sides had cracks visible to the naked eye. With a caw 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 sound, they shook as if they could collapse at any time. Even you are looking down on me. You actually think that I am not his match. Xing Hun was enraged. Being looked down upon by his sworn enemy was a huge blow to his heart. Give me a reasonable explanation, Moon Goddess. Xing Hun clenched his fists tightly. If not for the fact that Dong Huangtai was about to gather all of them, Xing Hun would not have minded staying behind to fight with Moon Goddess. Lord Xing Hun, what I said is the absolute truth. Facing Xing Hun's terrifying aura, Moon Goddess did not move. A mysterious power exploded from her body, protecting her unscathed. She was not affected by Xing Han's aura at all. Truth. What a joke. Hearing this, Xing Han's lips curled into a smile. He laughed disdainfully. What is truth? Seeing it with your own eyes is the truth. The victor had not been decided just now, but you said that I am not as good as Ziqin. Lord Moon Goddess, are the rumors true? Are you really having an affair with Ziqin? Why are you so biased towards him? You, Moon Goddess's calm face lit up. Then, she glanced at Xing Han apprehensively. The murderous aura that had already spread out disappeared without a trace. Moon Goddess was not dushless and did not have the ability to suppress Xing Han. If the two of them fought, one was the left guardian while the other was the right guardian. Both sides would probably be injured in the end. You have already lost to him once. After saying that, the moon god disappeared without a trace. I have already lost to him. Hearing this, Xing Han's thoughts turned back and realized that Ziqin was not in his mind. Nonsense, I have already lost to Dustless once. As for this Ziqin, it was the first time I saw him at the Little Saint's Manor. Xing Han's voice contained a great amount of power. Even though the moon deity had already disappeared, his voice still reached her ears. That's why that guy thinks you're childish. Maybe you'll become a butcher who slaughters pigs. That kind of profession really suits you. Anyway, you don't have to use your brain. The moon goddess smiled and shook her head. The so-called Ziqin was actually dushless. However, other than the moon goddess and great Si Ming, no one else in the school of Yin Yang knew about this. On the way, he followed young Master Ming and brought Dustless to a special room. Creak. The ancient and heavy door was gently pushed open, and a wave of aura that belonged to the wilderness greeted him. The scene that entered his eyes caused Dustless to be stunned on the spot. They should be arrested immediately and let me use the mind-reading technique to investigate thoroughly. Chapter 1880. Xing Han's words were like a tornado, causing everyone to be dumbfounded. They all stared blankly at Wu Qin and Great Si Ming, especially Yun Zhongjuan, who stared at Xing Han in disbelief. He's too rash. Xing Han keeps saying that others are immature, but he's just a so-so himself. Damn it, I hope he doesn't drag me into this. Yun Zhongjuan complained incessantly. He looked at Xing Han and Dushless. He could not afford to offend these two, especially Xing Han, who was so rash. Yun Zhongjuan felt like he was implicated. He was so unlucky. Xing Han, Donghuang Tai stared at Xing Han. He was completely different from his usual calm self. Now, he was anxious and his Tao heart was in a mess. Do the two of you know your crimes? Xing Han's eyes swept over Wu Qin and Great Si Ming, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. Lord Donghuang, I suggest that we immediately, your suggestion. Who do you think you are? Dustless's sudden words made Xing Han's face turn red. He shouted angrily, Ziqin from the Confucian school, remember this. This is the Yin Yang school and I am the left guardian. You have no right to speak. Just listen to me obediently. Ayaya, this kid is so fierce. Dustless ignored Xing Han. So what if Xing Han was the left guardian? He was still a kid. As the saying goes, to catch a thief, take the stolen goods. You can't just rely on your side of the story. Do you have any evidence to prove that I colluded with Great Si Ming? Dustless stared at Xing Han, who looked embarrassed, and continued to mock him. If you don't, then you're framing me. That's right. Do you have any evidence? Donghuang Tai, Young Si Ming, Great Si Ming, Yueshin, and Yun Zhongjuan all looked at Xing Han. Xing Han's face twitched. Evidence? There was no evidence at all. Xing Han never needed evidence to do anything. After capturing the enemy, he could use his mind-reading technique to look into their minds. Why would he need something as troublesome as evidence? It was completely unnecessary. Silence means there is no more. About 10 seconds later, Xing Han stood there with an ugly expression on his face. Dustless scolded him angrily, "You're so young, yet you don't learn good things. Instead, you're learning how to cheat, and steal. You deserve a beating. You bastard, watch your tone." Hearing this, Xing Han's face turned green. He resisted the urge to vomit blood as his body trembled in anger. Dustless's words made it seem as if he was his son and deserved to be beaten. This fellow was too mean and infuriating. Besides, who said that I don't have evidence? I heard about this from Yun Zhongjuan. At this critical moment, Xing Han glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and decisively betrayed him. That bastard Xing Han. Yun Zhongjuan had a constipated expression on his face. He glared fiercely at Xing Han from the corner of his eye as he cursed in his heart, "This fellow is indeed the type to betray others." Then, Dong Wang Tai looked at Xing Han and Yun Zhongjuan unhappily. His tone was filled with undisguised blame. "How can you be so rash? You two have embarrassed the school of Yin Yang." Chapter 1881. Upon hearing Dong Wang Tai's reprimand, Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han felt extremely miserable, especially Yun Zhongjuan. He was clearly implicated by Xing Han. If Xing Han had not dragged him down with him, Yun Zhongjuan would have chosen to watch silently. The moon goddess, the great Si Ming, and the young Si Ming, are all standing on Zichen's side. How can we win against them? Yun Zhongjuan looked at Xing Han resentfully and lowered his head in anger, pushing all the blame to Xing Han. If it wasn't for this fellow's recklessness, he wouldn't have been scolded as well. But Lord Donghuang, Xing Han sorted out his thoughts and continued, "We can't possibly clear ourselves of suspicion just because of Zichen's words. This fellow is full of mysteries. Although he is a Confucian disciple, his way of doing things, the moves he uses, and his personality are completely different from a Confucian disciple. Moreover, he was secretly brought into the Confucian school by Zhang Liang and Zhang Zifang." When mentioning Zhang Liang, Xing Han deliberately emphasized the word Zhang Liang. His eyes flickered with an inexplicable light. What an ignorant person. Without waiting for others to speak, Dustless took the lead to fire at Xing Han. "This can only mean that Zhang Liang thinks that I have a bright future. Zhang Liang is tempted and thinks that I can bring the Confucian school to greater heights. It's such a simple matter." Simple matter. Yun Zhongjuan's lips trembled as he said seriously, "Sir, do you think that this is a trivial matter? However, the Yin Yang school must treat it seriously. A small hole can destroy a 1,000-mile dike. Often, a careless crack can become a fatal wound if ignored for a long time. Yun Zhongjuan is right. If you feel that you have a clear conscience and want to prove your innocence, let me use mind reading, nonsense." However, Dustless was not to be trifled with. He directly interrupted Xing Han's speech. "This damned bastard. I can't let him off so easily." Xing Han's expression was firm, but his heart was like a volcano erupting. He could not remember how many times he had been interrupted by Dustless. This guy was too despicable. "Since you like to use mind reading on others so much, why don't I use it on you first?" Dustless asked with a smile. "That's only fair. You can read minds." Everyone from the school of Yin Yang was flabbergasted as they stared at Dustless. "It's different from mind reading, but the meaning is the same. I can see the other party's memories," Dustless replied frankly. Then, he looked at Xing Han and Yun Zhongjuan and asked, "Which one of you will go first?" When they heard this, Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han looked at each other and took a step back in unison. Everyone had their biggest secret. If Dustless found out, what would happen? "Yun Zhongjuan, I haven't been feeling well recently. I'll let you handle this matter first." Xinghan glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and spoke in a commanding tone. "This damned bastard," Yun Zhongjuan almost slapped him when he heard that. "You're the one who caused this trouble, and now you want me to take the blame for you. What a joke. This matter arose because of Lord Xinghan. It has nothing to do with me." Yun Zhongjuan shook his head and rejected decisively. Xinghan was the one who caused this trouble. Why should he take Xinghan's place and let him see his memories? There's no harm in giving it a try. If the heavens protect you, you'll be safe. If you're lucky, you'll at most become an idiot. If you're unlucky, you'll end up dead. Dustless gave them a look that said, "Don't worry." Ha! It would have been better if Dustless hadn't said anything. Now that he said it, Xinghan and Yun Zhongjuan cowered even more. What if you slip up? What if the two of us become idiots? Xinghan questioned eerily. He shook his head in his heart. If Dustless deliberately turned them into idiots, they wouldn't even have a place to cry. Enough. This matter ends here today. Dong Wangtai's sullen voice exploded in Xinghan and Yun Zhongjuan's ears. The two of them immediately lowered their heads in shame like obedient children. "Xinghan, you've stirred up trouble for no reason. The position of the left guardian of the Yin-Yang family is no longer suitable for you." Dong Wangtai's sudden words made Xinghan's head feel stuffy. Not only that, but the others were also caught off guard. Even if Xinghan had really made a mistake, he wouldn't have been stripped of his position as guardian, let alone an ordinary quarrel. "Well, Dongwang Pavilion, Xinghan opened his mouth, but Dong Wangtai didn't give him a chance. He cut off Xinghan's future with one sentence. "Zichen, you'll be in charge of this position in the future." Dong Wangtai's tone was faint but contained a great deal of determination. It seemed like he wasn't just saying it casually. No problem. Just leave it to me." Dustless chuckled and immediately patted his chest. Although he wasn't interested in the position of guardian, he immediately accepted it when he saw Xinghan's black face. It wasn't a bad idea to annoy this fellow. Fortunately, you didn't get too involved. When Yun Zhongjuan saw this, he looked pitifully at the dazed Xinghan. This fellow had dug his own grave. In the end, he was slapped a few times by Dustless and lost all his face. What was even more tragic was that even the position of the left guardian of the Yin-Yang family had been stripped by Dong Wangtai. The funniest thing was that the position of guardian had fallen into the hands of Xinghan's archenemy. Cough cough cough. When he saw that everyone was still in a daze, Dustless deliberately coughed twice. Under everyone's puzzled gaze, he walked towards the petrified Xinghan with his hands behind his back. "Fellow, are you here to show off?" Chapter 1882. When he heard Dustless's words, Xinghan could no longer maintain his composure. His face instantly twisted like an evil spirit, and his hands involuntarily emitted a purple demonic light. A divine air blade that could cut through metal like mud instantly shot out. "Brat, do you know that there is a saying that goes, the higher you stand, the harder you fall? Put away that annoying smile of yours." Xinghan gritted his teeth and roared. His hissing voice was like a venomous snake spitting out its tongue, sending chills down one's spine. The light from the air blade in his hands became increasingly intense and filled with a frightening destructive power. It was not difficult to see that if not for Dong Wangtai's presence, Xinghan would have attacked long ago. Dustless was simply too arrogant and did not take him seriously at all. "Of course I know." Dustless nodded in agreement. He looked at Xinghan with a mocking smile. "It's good that you know." Xinghan grunted and retracted his gaze. His thoughts churned, and just as he was about to open his mouth and teach Dustless a lesson, the latter's words almost caused him to explode. "Aren't you a living example, former guardian? Lord Xinghan. The higher you stand, the harder you fall. You should have a deep understanding of this saying, right?" Xing Hun's cheeky words caused his old face to turn red with anger, as if he had been roasted. Zichen, you are playing with fire. You have only won one round temporarily, and there is still a long way to go in the future. Don't be too complacent. Xing Hun warned in a low voice. Otherwise, if you lose too badly in the future, you will not be able to face anyone. You don't have to worry about that. Dustless turned a deaf ear to Xing Hun's words. They went in one ear and out the other. He was just a guardian, and he had only accepted it because he wanted to annoy Xing Hun. Otherwise, even if Dong Wang Tai gave him the position of the head of the Yinyang school, Dustless would not care. Cut the crap. Hurry up and greet Lord Protector Zichen. Dustless leaned close to Xing Hun's ear and said in a voice as soft as a mosquito, now that you've been stripped of your position as a guardian, you're just an ordinary disciple of the school of Yinyang. I'm a guardian. You. Hearing this, Xing Hun was so angry that he felt dizzy and his entire body trembled. If you don't shout, I can expel you from the school of Yinyang. If you don't believe me, you can try. Dustless's expression was one of utter disdain. His words were laced with a thick threat as he taunted, at that time, you'll be a stray dog. You win. Hearing this, Xing Hun hesitated for a while before finally compromising. He bowed slightly. Greetings to Guardian Zichen. When he said this, Xing Hun's heart was bleeding. This was his position and now it had been snatched away by his mortal enemy. Furthermore, he had to call him Lord Protector. Xing Hun was about to explode from anger. Not bad. Dustless patted Xing Hun's head and gave a gratified smile. You're worth teaching. Not bad, not bad. When the other members of the school of Yinyang saw this scene, they smiled but did not say anything. Whether it was young Master Ming, Great Master Ming, or the cold Yueshin, they were all on Dustless's side. Especially Yueshin. He and Xing Hun appeared to be on the same page but were actually at odds with each other. There had been countless open and covert conflicts between them. Now that Xing Hun had been stripped of his position as a guardian, what was he going to do in the future? The only person who felt that the situation had changed was Yun Zhongjuan. After all, he had been allies with Xing Hun previously and had discussed how to deal with Yueshin and Dustless in secret. Now, in the blink of an eye, this usually awe-inspiring guardian had been stripped of his position. Alright, all of you can leave now. I have something to say to Zichen. Dong Wang Tai ordered them to leave indifferently. His cold tone made it seem as if nothing had happened. Xing Hun felt a chill in his heart. He had sacrificed his life for the school of Yinyang, but this fellow was so heartless in the end. Xing Hun's resentment towards Dong Wang Tai grew. Now that the biggest boss of the school of Yinyang had spoken, Yueshin and the other members of the school of Yinyang took their leave. Only Dustless and Dong Wang Tai were left. The atmosphere turned cold. I observed the stars at night. Ever since you appeared, the movements of the stars have undergone a huge change. Dong Wang Tai's indifferent tone revealed a hint of shock. Small changes could be made, but the general trend could not be changed. This iron-like rule had actually changed when it came to Dustless. This was also one of the reasons why Dong Wang Tai valued Dustless and chose to form an alliance with young Master Ming and the school of Confucianism through marriage. The strangest thing was that Dong Wang Tai was shocked to discover that he had previously comprehended the news of the imminent demise of the school of Confucianism from the movements of the stars. However, the movements of the stars had changed recently, and the result almost made him vomit blood. Ever since Dustless joined the school of Confucianism, the situation had changed. The school of Confucianism would prosper, and the school of Yinyang would decline. The school of Confucianism would be fine, but the school of Yinyang would be in trouble. In the past, the school of Confucianism would perish, and the school of Yinyang would prosper. However, after Dustless joined the school of Confucianism, the situation changed. Dong Wangtai had no choice but to form an alliance with the school of Confucianism, hoping to change this sudden change. What happened next was even more shocking. Ever since he decided to form an alliance with dustless through marriage, the movements of the stars had undergone a huge change. The school of Confucianism would prosper, and the school of yin-yang would prosper. This was the first time Dong Wangtai had encountered such a strange situation. From then on, he confirmed dustless's uniqueness and indirectly tried to rope him in. As for Xing Hun, in Dong Wangtai's eyes, he was just a pawn. What was wrong with sacrificing a little for the school of yin-yang? Xing Hun should be happy. The world was cruel. Benefits came first. Xing Hun was used in an important position before because Dong Wangtai thought he had a future. Now that the school of yin-yang had a new blood, dustless, Xing Hun's position became insignificant. Furthermore, this fellow had a grudge against dustless. Chapter 1883. This world was a place where people chose to be chosen, abandoned, and abandoned. After the essence of any society was removed, what was left was the law of the jungle. If one's potential was not as good as others, they could only blame themselves for being useless if they were abandoned. Dong Wangtai felt that dustless's future was greater than Xing Hun's, so it was necessary for him to abandon Xing Hun. To make a simple analogy, between heaven and hell, everyone would undoubtedly choose the former. Although Dong Wangtai was farsighted, he was still a normal human. Naturally, he would choose the former, heaven. With Xing Hun, who represented hell, it was better to meet him sooner rather than later. Of course. Old man, you're smart enough to choose the school of yin-yang so that you can continue living. Dustless laughed in his heart. Although he did not understand the profound philosophy behind astrology, there was only one thing that had never changed in these thousands of years: absolute power rewrote the world. Even the stars that Dong Wangtai had comprehended leaned towards dustless, let alone humans. How could Xing Hun not be abandoned? Damn it, damn it, damn it. How am I inferior to him? On the other side, Xing Hun was furious and puzzled. It was fine that others did not think highly of him, but even Dong Wangtai, who he respected the most, seemed to have abandoned him. As a guardian, he could not even compare to an outsider from the Confucian school. Thinking about his miserable situation, Xing Hun was furious. Xing Hun, calm down. Yun Zhongjuan looked at the gloomy Xing Hun and tried to persuade him. It was just a momentary mistake. Why take it to heart? If you're so dispirited, won't that make Zichen feel better? What did you call me? Xing Hun narrowed his eyes and cursed Yun Zhongjuan in his heart. In the past, he used to call him Lord Xing Hun. Now that dustless had snatched the guardian position away from him, they were just two simple Xing Hun. I called you Xing Hun. Yun Zhongjuan stroked his beard proudly. His coarse old face was filled with contentment. When he saw Xing Hun's angry face, he felt extremely pleased. He thought to himself, does he really think that he's still the Lord Xing Hun of the past? What Lord Xing Hun? That was in the past. Now, Xing Hun was just an ordinary disciple of the school of yin-yang. His status was not as respected as before. This fence-sitter. When Xing Hun saw this, he was filled with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have taught Yun Zhongjuan a harsh lesson before he was stripped of his status. Xing Hun, although you have been stripped of your identity, we still have the same goal. We both have an enemy, the moon god. No, I should say that the number of enemies has increased. There is also Zichen and great Si Ming who is close to him. Now, even young Si Ming is one of his people. Yun Zhongjuan also stopped teasing Xing Hun. Thinking about the current situation, he was in a terrible fix. Come to think of it, the current school of yin-yang had almost been unified by dustless. At first glance, almost everyone was leaning towards dustless. That's why we need to get closer. Why are we leaving? Before Yun Zhongjuan could finish speaking, a lazy voice came from behind him. Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han were both stunned. This mysterious voice didn't even make a sound when he walked. He was as silent as a spirit. For some reason, they thought that it was Dong Huang Tai. So it's Ziqin. So it's Lord Ziqin. Yun Zhongjuan smiled apologetically and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. If Dustless had wanted to kill him just now, he would have succeeded and he would have become a headless corpse. What are the two of you discussing? Dustless looked at Xing Han and Yun Zhongjuan lazily and said meaningfully, "Are you discussing how to deal with me?" "How dare I?" "Lord Ziqin, just tell me what you want. I will do my best." Yun Zhongjuan immediately denied and winked at Xing Han at the same time. His meaning was obvious, don't talk nonsense. Humph, what a villain. Seeing this, Xing Han snorted and glared at Yun Zhongjuan angrily before he left in a huff. He wasn't as good at flattering as Yun Zhongjuan, especially when the person who flattered him was his mortal enemy. "I'm just a child. Please don't take offense, Lord Ziqin." Yun Zhongjuan smiled sheepishly. In the past, when Xing Han was still a protector, he was naturally afraid of him. But now, although he was still a member of the Yin-Yang school and was quite powerful, to put it bluntly, he was just an abandoned dog. "I'm new and I'm short of manpower recently, so..." Dustless's meaning was self-evident. The owner of the elusive mirage was Yun Zhongjuan and he controlled all the resources on it. Short of manpower. That's easy. Just leave it to me. 50 or 100 people? The more, the better. Guardian Ziqin, you don't have to be so formal. After all, we're on the same side, Yun Zhongjuan said with a flattering smile. Do you really think I don't know what you're thinking? Don't be so self-righteous, idiot. Upon hearing this, Dustless put on a kind smile on his face but sneered in his heart. He had heard Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han's plan clearly and hadn't missed a single word. Do you think the two of you can join forces to deal with me? Ignorant. You don't even know how to spell the word death. Go ahead and show off. Dustless was full of contempt for Yun Zhongjuan. He made up his mind that as long as this guy refined the elixir of immortality, he would send Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han to hell. I don't need so many people. I'm only short of one person. I heard that you have a few people from Shu Mountain under you, especially Yuziki. He's powerful and very obedient. Let me use him. Dustless looked at Yun Zhongjuan seriously, but the latter's face was stiff and his eyes were changing unpredictably. Chapter 1884. Yuziki. When Yun Zhongjuan heard this name, his eyelids twitched violently. If it was an ordinary person, he could still make the decision. However, Yuziki was not an ordinary person. He had a powerful background. This person came from Shu Mountain and was extremely hostile to the Yin-Yang school. Of course, Yuziki was not the only one. To a certain extent, the entire Shu Mountain was the enemy of the Yin-Yang school. Lord Ziqin wants Yuziki. Yun Zhongjuan's cheerful smile disappeared. He sized up Dustless warily and asked, Lord Ziqin, do you know who he is? He's from Shu Mountain, but... Dustless glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and asked calmly, what about the people from Shu Mountain? Am I no match for him, Yun Zhongjuan? That's not the case. Yun Zhongjuan quickly denied it. Even though he had not seen Dustless fight with his own eyes, there was no doubt about his strength. Dong Wang Tai would never find a useless idiot to be the Yin-Yang school's left guardian. To be honest, Shu Mountain is one of the great enemies of the Yin-Yang school. We can't let our guard down, Yun Zhongjuan advised. So, Lord Ziqin, you should find another suitable candidate. No, Dustless shook his finger and said in an unquestionable tone, I like people who are rebellious. I'll take him. If Yun Zhongjuan refuses again. Gulp. When Yun Jongjuan heard this strange laughter, his heart skipped a beat. Then, a sense of foreboding that went deep into his soul instantly spread throughout his body and mind. If you refuse me again, I'll have to ask Lord Donghuang to make the decision. When he mentioned Donghuang, Dustless had a gloating smile on his face. That be asterisk starred. When Yun Jongjuan heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched violently. He gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. Yun Jongjuan was not an idiot. Based on the current situation, Donghuang Tai valued Dustless very much. He valued Dustless even more than the moon god. If he called Donghuang Tai out for such a trivial matter, he would definitely be scolded. Dustless was Donghuang Tai's favorite person, so the chance of him being scolded was zero. Therefore, the unlucky person was naturally Yun Jongjuan. Lord Zichen must be joking. It would be disrespectful to disturb Lord Donghuang with such a simple question. Yun Jongjuan looked terrified and immediately promised Dustless, I will definitely take Yuziki there. Even if he doesn't agree, I will tie him up and send him there. Hee, then I'll have to trouble you, Yun Jongjuan. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. Dustless patted Yun Jongjuan's shoulder and left with a satisfied expression. Preposterous. After a while, Yun Jongjuan saw that Dustless had completely left. He stomped his feet angrily, and his eyes were gloomy. After staying in the yin-yang school for so long, this was the first time he had been threatened. Look at the smug look on his face. As expected, after hearing the conversation between the two, Zhang Liang's face froze. The relationship between the two of you is frightening. I have something to do at the moment, so I'll take my leave. Zhang Liang bowed slightly and left, looking very decisive. Hypocrite. Seeing Zhang Liang turn and leave, young Master Ming muttered. Young Master Ming wasn't an ordinary person. The moment Zhang Liang turned around, she saw the anger in his eyes. It was just that he didn't show it. Zhang Liang is indeed hypocritical. On one hand, he colluded with the Mo family. On the other hand, he has connections with Wei Zhuang. Recently, he even brought these two opposing forces together. Dustless nodded in agreement. Then, he held young Master Ming's waist and looked at the beautiful sunset. He said, let's take a walk back to the Little Saint Manor. We have nothing to do anyway. Everyone saw the situation just now. I'm afraid that Dustless has completely sided with the yin-yang school. In a certain inn, many disciples of the Mo family were gathered. Everyone secretly looked at Dustless, who was talking and laughing with young Master Ming through the unlatched window. They were all furious, feeling that they had been betrayed. That traitor. The angry Big Hammer slammed the table and shouted, our Mo family trusted him so much. That brat actually flirted with the yin-yang school. Big Hammer, you're mistaken about one thing. In the beginning, Dustless was neutral. He wasn't a member of the Mo family, nor was he a member of the yin-yang school. In the beginning, Wu Chen even stood on our Mo family side and saved our Mo family from danger several times. Old Man Ban sighed and continued, in the end, it's all our fault. Our methods weren't as good as the yin-yang school. That's why Dustless sided with the yin-yang school. Maybe our alliance with Wei Zhuang's quicksand caused Dustless to part ways with us. The two sides are irreconcilable. He killed many of Quicksand's people, but we allied with Wei Zhuang. I guess that guy is bitterly disappointed. Daoji hugged his hands and sighed. No matter what, Dustless has sided with the yin-yang school. From today onwards, he's our enemy. Gao Jianli's eyes were cold and sharp. Don't jump to conclusions. The respected old man Ban immediately expressed a different opinion. He said in a deep voice, although Dustless has a marriage alliance with the yin-yang school, he has no intention of doing anything to our Mo family. Let's wait and see for a while. What's more, we still have a trump card, Just then, Old Man Ban laughed strangely. He stroked his beard and said calmly, "If the Yin-Yang school can rope in dushless, we can too. Their trump card is young Master Ming, and we also have a trump card that's better than young Master Ming's." Could it be? The Mo family's eyes lit up. They said in unison, "Miss Rong." Chapter 1886. That's right, the trump card Old Ban was referring to was Duanmu Rong. Everyone in the Mo family knew about the relationship between Dustless and Duanmu Rong. They loved each other and loved each other. They had an advantage over the Yin-Yang school. I object. There were exceptions to everything. Even though everyone thought it was a good idea to marry Duanmu Rong and Dustless, there were also people who objected. And it was a very intense kind. Everyone followed the source of the voice and saw one of the leaders of the Mo family, Daoji, who was secretly in love with Duanmu Rong. That's normal. Those who knew the inside story weren't surprised. Everyone knew that Daoji was secretly in love with Duanmu Rong. Unfortunately, Daoji's love had always been one-sided. The minority obeys the majority. Objection is invalid. Old Man Ban snorted, completely ignoring Robber Ji's feelings. What's more, none of us have the final say in this matter. It's just this old man's suggestion. The key is Miss Rong's decision. Daoji was speechless and lowered his head in embarrassment. Just as Master Ban said, the decision was in Duanmu Rong's hands. Compared to the Yin-Yang school, which had strict rules, the Mo family was very lax. The decision to marry Dushless was still in Duanmu Rong's hands. Old Ban was just making a suggestion. How dare you? Then why don't you give Shui? The infuriated Daoji suddenly shut his mouth. He did not say the word woman in the end because he discovered that a pair of eyes that contained monstrous murderous intent was sizing him up in an unfriendly manner. Hee hee. I was just kidding. Don't mind me. Daoji smiled. The owner of the cold gaze was Gao Jinli. He'd already unsheathed Frosty. Even the ground was covered in ice. Everyone in the Mo family cursed Daoji for being an idiot. He wanted to give Xuannu to Dustless. Everyone thought it was a good idea. With Duanmu Rong and Xuannu, they could definitely get Dustless to help the Mo family again. However, do you think that Gao Jinli, don't exist? Gao Jinli glared at Robber Ji with a murderous look. It was only when the latter's hair stood on end that Gao Jinli retracted his gaze. It's up to you how you want to deal with this matter. I'll go back first. It was no wonder that Gao Jinli was so angry. He worked himself to the bone every day for the Mo clan, and now, this group of bastards actually wanted to give the Snow Lady to Dustless for a marriage alliance. He already disliked Dustless from the start and felt that he was extremely suspicious. Now, this group of bastards wanted to sell him out. I treat you guys as my brothers. How dare you help Dustless make me a cuckold? Gao Jinli walked out of the inn, feeling extremely depressed. Even though there was no concrete progress between him and the Snow Maiden, everyone knew about their relationship. These B***stards actually wanted to help Dustless cheat on him. How despicable. Lord Li. Long time no see. At this moment, an incomparably sinister voice suddenly sounded out in the room. His expression immediately changed, and a hint of fear flashed across his face. This is, Li Si hurriedly turned his head and was shocked to find a large sword shining with cold light at his throat. It could slit his throat at any time and end his life. So it's Mr. Wei Zhuang. After seeing the visitor, Li Si immediately greeted him with a fake smile. He tried his best to remain calm on the surface, but in his heart, he was already cursing the soldiers guarding the mansion. A bunch of useless trash. Wei Zhuang sneaked in and no one knows about it. Li Si was so angry that he cursed in his heart. Ever since the Mo family's mechanical city was defeated, Li Si and Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha parted ways. Both parties embarked on different paths, and Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha became a wanted criminal in the Qin state. Mr. Wei must have something important to discuss with you for a visit so late at night. Looking at Wei Zhuang's terrifying eyes, Li Si tried his best to remain calm. Prime Minister is indeed intelligent. Glancing at Li Si, whose forehead was covered in cold sweat, Wei Zhuang's face was full of ridicule. He thought to himself, "It's said that the higher one's position is, the more afraid of death. This is indeed true. My purpose is very simple." Lifting his gaze slightly, Wei Zhuang stared at Zhao Gao, who had already disappeared, and said, "Tell me everything about your secret conversation. If you miss a single word, I will cut off one of your fingers." Hearing this, Li Si was terrified. Cold sweat dripped down like raindrops. He knew that Wei Zhuang was not joking. Although he was unwilling, he could only confess everything. At the same time, Dushless, who was resting in the little saint's manor, suddenly opened his eyes. He quietly felt the changes in his surroundings. His deep black eyes shot out a ray of light. "This is interesting." After stretching his body, Dustless sat up. His gaze was slightly frozen as he stared at the half-closed door. He quietly waited for the assassin who was about to break in. The faintly discernible cold air drifting in the surroundings was too sensitive to Dustless. "Who is it? I'm really looking forward to it." With a slight shake of his arm, a pure black strange long sword suddenly appeared in Dustless's hand. The shape of the sword was very strange, and it did not have a blade. On the surface, it looked like a blunt weapon. However, there was no doubt that it was a sword. It was a very famous sword, Ink Eyebrow. Ink Eyebrow was the inherited weapon of the Mo family. When Yen Dan was killed in the mechanical city, this weapon fell into Dustless's hands. Chapter 1888. Even though this mysterious assassin was very skilled at hiding his murderous aura, he was still too naive to think that he could fool everyone. Creak, the half-closed door was gently pushed open, and Dustless was immediately attracted to it. Where have I seen such a ferocious gaze before? Dustless was startled by those deep, wild, beast-like eyes. He didn't think that the assassin was very powerful, but he had a sense of déjà vu, as if he had met him somewhere before. "Who is it?" Dustless lowered his head and guessed. He stroked the black eyebrow in his hand, and the rough texture made his palm a little numb. Could it be? At this moment, a man with a big body, powerful strength, and a terrifying aura suddenly jumped out in Dustless's mind. He was also carrying an extremely exaggerated giant sword. Xingqi of the Nongfu family. His eyes were almost as ferocious and terrifying as the mysterious assassin in front of him. His body was full of deadly oppression, and his piercing eyes made people unable to resist. Creak. At the same time, the half-closed door was completely pushed open, and a ferocious-looking big man suddenly flashed out. Just as Dustless had guessed, the tattooed face was undoubtedly Xingqi. "Boy, are your guts made of iron?" As soon as he stepped into the room, Xingqi heard the voice that he didn't want to hear in his life. He rushed to the place where the voice came from, and a man with a mocking face suddenly appeared in front of him. "Who are you?" Xingqi was stunned and found that he didn't know Dustless, although the voice was somewhat familiar. "You are still Ziqin." Dustless immediately removed the disguise on his face. His current identity was still Ziqin of the Confucian school. "Do you know me now?" After removing the disguise, Dustless stared at Xingqi with a cold expression and sneered. "Boy, I let you live last time, but you still dare to assassinate me. Who gave you the courage? Why is it you?" Dustless. Xingqi's old face suddenly darkened. In his huge eyes, there was a strong sense of fear. Last time when he was beaten up by Wu Qin, it left an unforgettable impression on him. He would never forget it. You dare to assassinate me. Are you prepared to die? Dustless picked up ink eyebrows and slowly walked towards Xingqi. Wait. Xingqi quickly raised his right arm and explained, I only came to assassinate the third head of the scholarly faction. I didn't know this person was you. Ignorance is blameless. Innocent. Dustless couldn't help but smile. He sneered and said, I say, Xingqi, are you here to be funny? Now that you have come to assassinate me, you still dare to say that you are innocent. Zhao Gao ordered me to do this. I didn't know your true identity. Xingqi hated Zhao Gao in his heart. How was he sent to assassinate? He was obviously sent to die. Zhao Gao. Chapter 1889. Go to hell to continue our relationship. Hearing this, Gao Jianli was stunned at first, then looked at Dustless gloomily, and asked in a hoarse voice, that is to say, you admit that you killed the Juzi with your own hands? That's right. I was the one who killed that heartless man. Not denying it, Dustless simply admitted it directly and said, I sent him to heaven with my own hands when I was in Mahist Machine Gate City. You bastard. Gao Jianli was furious, and under the moonlight, his whole body was covered with a layer of cold mist visible to the naked eye. Seeing this, Dustless casually smiled and waved his hand, and said loudly, Don't feel sad, I will free you right away, a dead man will not feel sad. Arrogant. Gao Jianli was furious, and his body was like a shadow with the wind, rushing head-on. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The speed of the afterimage was so fast that it was difficult to capture its movement trajectory with the naked eye alone. What Gao Jianli was most adept at was his incomparable speed. It was a complete victory over the enemy with speed. Ridiculous. Dustless lightly raised the ink eyebrow in his hand and said contemptuously, Once, I have fought so many enemies, you are the only sad person who wanted to use speed to defeat me. As his voice fell, Dustless's observation hockey quietly spread out, and Gao Jianli, who was as fast as lightning, suddenly appeared. Too slow. Just as the Coldie Shui was about to pierce his body, the ink eyebrow in his hand fell from the sky and smashed the oncoming attack in one fell swoop. Caw caw caw. The attack, which contained the weight of thousands of tons, landed on Gao Jianli's right shoulder. His bones immediately collapsed, and a series of cracking sounds were heard. The place hit by the ink eyebrow was badly mutilated, and there was a large pool of blood mixed with white bone fragments and a shocking dent mark. Bang! His entire right arm was destroyed, and Gao Jianli could no longer hold the Coldie Shui, and instantly fell to the ground. Suffering an unprecedented injury, Gao Jianli's face instantly turned as pale as snow, and his body fell to the ground uncontrollably. The torn wound was extremely painful. You overestimate yourself. Dustless slowly walked over. Looking at the wailing Gao Jianli, he immediately said in disdain, I hate hypocrites like you the most. What chivalrous path of saving the common people? It's all bullshit. To put it bluntly, Yan Dan was just trying to restore his kingdom. He wanted to revive the Yan kingdom for his own selfish desires. Was this saving the common people? The same goes for Zhang Liang. How can a lowly person like you understand the greatness of a tycoon? Even though his right shoulder was shattered and he was in so much pain that he broke out in cold sweat, Gao Jianli still retorted sarcastically. You think he's great? Hearing this, Gao Jianli was so angry that he almost fell down. The long sword in his hand shook violently. He said furiously, Nonsense. When did I ask you to take care of Schwecker? Dustless, don't talk nonsense. Clang! 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 The cold light of the long sword hit Dustless's head. According to common sense, no matter who it was, they would definitely die. However, there are always exceptions in this world. Your Yi Shui Han is too blunt to pierce through me. You will never be able to pierce through my armament hockey. Regardless of Gao Jianli's shocked eyes, Dustless indifferently removed the tip of the sword that pierced his eyelids. Then his eyes began to rotate faster. The raging chill all focused on Gao Jianli's body. Amaterasu. Boundless black flames instantly burned Gao Jianli's body. He howled miserably as the flames devoured and crushed his life force bit by bit. Not even a corpse was left. Mo family's residence hidden deep in the mountains. What, little Gao is dead. Everyone in Mo family looked at the self-blaming figure in disbelief. Everyone's eyes were wide open. At first, everyone thought that Gao Jianli was sulking and went out for a walk. Who would have thought that the result was so absurd? Yes, it's all my fault for being useless. I didn't protect little Gao well. Dustless looked ashamed. He handed the Yi Shui Han in his hand to Snow Girl and swore, Miss Snow Girl, I swear that even if I have to pay with my life, I will not let you get hurt. This is my last promise to little Gao. Everyone in Mo family was stunned. Snow Girl was the same. She trembled as she grabbed the Yi Shui Han that was covered in blood. Tears welled up in her eyes. Who killed little Gao? I want to avenge him. A sharp roar filled with endless hatred came from Snow Girl's throat. Her tone was filled with killing intent as if she wanted to be torn to pieces by the culprit. Damn. Do you need to be so scary? Seeing Snow Girl's godlike appearance, Dustless's neck shrank. It was Xing Han from the Yin Yang school. I saw him throw the corpse into the sea to feed the fish after killing little Gao. Despicable Yin Yang school. Hearing this, everyone in Mo family glared at him. Snow Girl even broke out of the door angrily. It seemed like she was going to seek revenge on Xing Han from the Yin Yang school. Bam! Dustless flashed behind Snow Girl and knocked her unconscious with a karate chop. Then, he carried her to Duanmu Rong and signaled for her to take Snow Girl to rest. Snow Girl challenging Xing Han alone was no different from setting herself on fire. Wait, there's something wrong with this. At this moment, a doubtful voice sounded. Dustless looked over and sneered in his heart. Zhang, you don't know what's good for you. I've prepared everything. Let's see how high your IQ is. If you can defeat me, a transmigrator, then you can. Such a calm answer, as if he had thought about it in advance. However, it was precisely because of this that Zhang Liang was even more certain that there was a conspiracy behind Xiao Gao's death. How could a watertight plan be an unintentional mistake? The fact that Dustless was so calm meant that he had thought about it in advance. That's right. I've already stolen the thing that you want. A round copper plate suddenly appeared on Dustless's right arm. There were all kinds of mysterious words on it. This is the 1,000 bronze plate. Master Ban was overjoyed when he saw this. He didn't care about Dustless taking out the 1,000 bronze plate and snatched it over. He said excitedly, with this item, we'll be able to crack the Black Dragon dossier easily. That's great. Initially, the Mo family members were still suspicious of Dustless. However, when they saw him taking out the 1,000 bronze plate, their doubts disappeared. If he was an enemy, there was no need for him to take out the 1,000 bronze plate. I can only say that it's a pity about Xiao Gao's death. Master Ban sighed and said in a deep voice, it will take a lot of time to defeat the Qin dynasty. Everyone, please be careful in the future. You only have one life. We'll look for Xing Han in the future for Xiao Gao's life. A bunch of idiots, Dustless snickered in his heart. This groundless accusation was completely placed on Xing Han's head. Sigh, Zhang Liang sighed helplessly. He was caught off guard by Gao Jianli's sudden death. Originally, everyone was discussing how to assassinate Dustless and Xiao Ximing on their wedding day. Gao Jianli was full of praise for this plan. Now that he was dead, Zhang Liang didn't know if the Mo family would give up on this plan. Creak. The door of the quiet room was gently pushed open. Duanmu Rong looked over and nodded slightly when she saw that it was dustless. "How is Miss Xue?" Dustless lowered his head and looked at Xuan Nu, who was lying on the sickbed. He asked, "She doesn't look well. Will there be any major problems?" "She's just severely injured." Duanmu Rong shook her head and said worriedly, "You know the relationship between Xiao Gao and Xuan Nu Sai. It's hard to estimate the impact of Xiao Gao's death on Xuan Nu. I hope she doesn't have any other ideas. Dustless was stunned when he heard this. With Xuan Nu's personality, she might really assassinate Xing Hun on her own. "Leave it to me." Dustless gestured to Duanmu Rong not to worry. He comforted her and said, "The past will always be the past. Since Xiao Gao asked me to take care of Xuan Nu, I can't let anything happen to her." When he said this, Wu Chen couldn't help but blush. After all, he was the one who killed Gao Jinli. "Oh right. I have something to ask you." Duanmu Rong blinked a few times and looked at Dustless with a hint of resentment in her eyes. "Don't tell me." Suddenly thinking of something, Dustless's face was embarrassed. "Perhaps, just as Zhang Liang is worried, I might be harmful to the Mo family in the future. If it was someone else, Dustless would naturally not empathize with their feelings. The winner was the king and the loser was the bandit. It was the nature of the game for the loser to be robbed. There was no need to empathize with other people's feelings. Only the one with the bigger fist had the right to change the game. However, Duanmu Rong was different. The reason why Dustless chose to be honest with her was because she was the one who saved him on the first day he came to this world. Although it was unnecessary, after a series of changes, Dustless realized that he had completely fallen in love with her. Dustless could deceive others. After all, he had always defined himself as a villain. As for Duanmu Rong, he only wanted to have a clear conscience. Dustless did not want to use any tricks. Dustless looked at Duanmu Rong quietly, waiting for her answer. At the same time, there was an uproar in another direction. "B****, you damned guy. What are you trying to do? Have you forgotten who let you out of prison? Now, you're biting the hand that feeds you." The night was dark and the wind was strong. Murder and arson were everywhere. On such a beautiful night, another good show was playing out somewhere else. "Li Si, you sinister villain. I'll kill you first, then I'll kill Zhao Gao." Xing Qi waved his crude great ravager and killed all the reinforcements who rushed over. His pair of tiger-like glasses made Li Si tremble in fear. He was so scared that he almost peed in his pants. "Fortunately, my neck is still here." Li Si touched his head. After realizing that his neck was still there, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. It was not easy for him to get to the position of the Prime Minister. If he was killed by Xing Qi, it would be a tragedy. "Don't worry, it'll be gone soon." Xing Qi smiled ferociously. His face was filled with hatred and disgust. It was because of this bastard that he went to assassinate the third head of the Confucian school. His real identity was Dustless, the super evil star. Last time, he was beaten up by Dustless. It was not easy for him to survive. Now, Li Si and Zhao Gao pushed him into the pit again. He was almost killed by Dustless. How could Xing Qi not be angry? "I've treated you so well. How dare you assassinate me? B****, I'll tear you into pieces if I find out." Li Si warned angrily. "Ha! You won't have the chance." Xing Qi smiled cruelly. Looking at the corpses on the ground, he slowly walked towards Li Si. As everyone knew, Li Si was a civil official. Although he was the Prime Minister of the Empire, his strength was not even comparable to an ordinary soldier. Chapter 1893. Realizing that he was forced into a desperate situation, Li Si was furious. He was the prime minister, but he was forced into such a difficult situation by an assassin. The prestige of the prime minister had been thrown away. Xingqi, don't do anything rash. Let's talk nicely. Even if you kill me, you won't be able to leave here alive. At the crucial moment, Li Si still gave up. He couldn't accept dying in such a humiliating way. I can only live if I kill you. If I keep you alive, I will definitely die. Xingqi sneered. This Li Si really thought that he was a kid who didn't know anything. For someone like Li Si who was so powerful, you should either kill him to prevent future troubles, or never offend him. Especially the words that Li Si said just now, Xingqi treated it like a fart. Li Si was a politician, and politicians had always been masters at talking. Their tricks of fooling people were unfathomable, and their promises were worthless. Go to hell. Xingqi's huge body leaped up and swung his great sword, Great Ravager. Puchi. Li Si, who didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken, was no match for Xingqi. A bloody hole appeared on his chest. Xingqi noticed that although the wound on Li Si was bleeding, it was shallow and not fatal. It couldn't take Li Si's life at all. As for the reason, damn it. Xingqi continued to exert his strength, wanting to pierce through Li Si's chest. However, he noticed that there was a cold figure standing in front of Juk. Zhao Gao. Xingqi's pupils shrank. This mysterious man with an evil aura was the boss of the trap, Zhao Gao. Xingqi, I asked you to assassinate Ziqin. Who would have thought that you would become so powerful? You actually came to assassinate the prime minister and even hurt him. Your cheap life is not as good as the prime minister's even if you die 100 times. Zhao Gao's eyes emitted a dangerous light. Xingqi, who was being stared at, felt a strong pressure. If Xingqi was an awe-inspiring tiger that could be said to be invincible, then Zhao Gao was an unfathomable hunter. He only had one attitude towards this beast that was struggling on the verge of death: contempt. Retreat for now. Looking at Zhao Gao and Li Si with hatred in his eyes, Xingqi decisively chose to retreat. If the 6 sword slaves came, he would be dead for sure. The moonlight was like a plate and the sky was dotted with stars. Dustless and Duanmu Rong sat side by side peacefully on the roof of the thatched hut. The atmosphere was harmonious as they looked up at the sky. Sometimes, I really envy the stars in the sky. They can live a carefree life for the rest of their lives. It's so comfortable. Duanmu Rong rested her chin on her hands, looking forward to the future. There's nothing to be envious about. Dustless said calmly, a carefree life can frighten others, but the price is the loneliness of being isolated from the world. Chapter 1895. What do you mean? Dustless looked at Yuzuki sympathetically. Smart all your life, but stupid this time. This sentence was not false at all. Why did Yun Zhongjuan capture you? You should know this better than me, right? Dustless sat on the chair and explained, you were made into the leader of the medicine men by Yun Zhongjuan. Seeing Yuzuki's confused expression, Dustless knew what had happened. Yun Zhongjuan had turned Yuzuki into a medicine man previously, causing this fellow's memory to be blurred. He had probably forgotten everything that had happened before. The only thing he remembered was probably Sherlan. The two of you can catch up for the time being. Sherlan, don't forget to take your medicine. Seeing the excited siblings, Dustless also pulled Duanmu Rong away. The siblings were catching up. If he and Duanmu Rong, 2 outsiders, joined in, wouldn't it cause gossip? Is that Sherlan's brother? After glancing at Yuzuki, Duanmu Rong looked at Dustless in surprise and said meaningfully, I heard that Yun Zhongjuan has an extraordinary status in the Yin Yang school. Since you can get someone from him, it seems that your status in the yin-yang school is not low either. Humph, it's more than not low. At this point, Wu Chen could not help but feel proud of himself. He raised a finger and said, I've only gone to the yin-yang school on the first day, and I've already snatched Xinghun's position. I'm the left guardian now. Let's not talk about this for now. You must have noticed something, right? Duanmu Rong suddenly narrowed her eyes and said with great concern, I keep feeling that Zhang Liang of the Confucian school is deliberately targeting you. Don't tell me you don't realize it. Of course, I know this. Dustless held Duanmu Rong's little hand. The latter did not resist. Since the relationship between the two of them had been made clear, Duanmu Rong would not reject Dustless. Instead, she felt very comfortable being held by Dustless. That brat's identity as the third master was snatched by me, especially, Dustless sneered and said disdainfully, Zhang Liang wholeheartedly wanted to pull the Confucians into the anti-Qin alliance, but because of my sudden rise, the Confucians and the yin-yang school temporarily formed an alliance, and Zhang Liang's plan became a distant dream. Naturally, that kid hates me to death. Dustless was extremely clear about this. There was no possibility of reconciliation between him and Zhang Liang. Speaking of which, when you went to the yin-yang school, did you see you, Thinking of you, Duanmu Rong's voice became several times louder. In this world, the only people she still cared about were you, and Dustless. As for the people of the Mo family, Duanmu Rong's heart was gradually filled with despair. Ever since Master Ban said that he would sacrifice himself to win over Dustless, Duanmu Rong's feelings for the Mo family had become indifferent. Maybe it's just like what you said. Being anti-Qin will only make the world more chaotic. Duanmu Rong saw it lightly, and her hatred for the Qin state dissipated a lot. Rong, actually, there's a problem that I don't understand. Dustless raised his eyebrows and said doubtfully, Gao Jianli hates the Qin state because his elder brother, Jing Ku, was killed by the Qin state. As for your reason, do you still need to say this? Glancing at Dustless impatiently, Duanmu Rong said bluntly, once you enter a noble family, you are as deep as the ocean. Ever since the previous great son, Yan Dan, became a great son, the Mo family began to target the Qin state. I was also affected. The Mo family was not like this in the past. That's true. Dustless's eyes suddenly brightened. Only then did he remember a big thing that he had forgotten. He immediately sneered and said, Yan Dan, that guy, is really not a good person. You, hearing this, Duanmu Rong's watery eyes widened slightly. She looked extremely dissatisfied. After all, he was a dead person. Rong, don't you think it's strange? The great son of the Mo family before Yan Dan, six-fingered black man, did not intend to go against the Qin state when he was still a great son. In fact, the period of six-fingered black man and the period of Yan Dan were completely different. Six-fingered black man firmly believed in the non-aggressive way, and had no interest in opposing the Qin state. When he was still a great son, the Mo family had always maintained a neutral position. However, it was obviously different when Yan Dan was still a great son. They had turned from a neutral camp to opposing the Qin state and were always targeting the Qin state. Don't tell me. Six-fingered black man was killed by Yan Dan's conspiracy. Duanmu Rong looked at Dustless anxiously. Noticing her abyss-like terrifying eyes, she suddenly felt a little scared. Do you think it's impossible? Some people want six-fingered black man to die earlier. After he died, Yan Dan would become the new great son of the Mo family. As the crown prince of the Yan kingdom, he would definitely oppose the Qin state. This is beneficial for some people, isn't it? Dustless looked at Duanmu Rong calmly and then said something shocking. The culprit who killed six-fingered black man was actually concubine Yan of the school of Yin Yang. She is also Yu's mother and Yan Dan's wife. At first, Yen Dan had been trying to persuade Six-Fingered Black Man to join the anti-Qin alliance. However, Six-Fingered Black Man was not interested. Wasn't it suicidal for a sect to want to fight against the power of a country? Six-Fingered Black Man was not wrong. However, concubine Yen, who was deeply in love with Yen Dan, wanted to fulfill her husband's long-cherished wish. She used the Six Souls Fear curse and directly caused Six-Fingered Black Man's death. How do you know these secrets? Duanmu Rong was shocked. Even she, the commander of the Mo family, didn't know about this. However, Dustless knew so clearly. Don't forget my current identity. I am the left guardian of the school of Yin Yang. My status is on par with the moon goddess and only second to Dong Huang Tai. Wu Chen casually found a reason to prevaricate. This was completely nonsense. How did he know Six-Fingered Black Man was killed by concubine Yen? This was a benefit that the time-traveling party thought was a foresight. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.